歡迎大家今日出席。
Welcome to today's press briefing. We have two speakers today.
OK。好，係咪都差唔多？哦 ，OK。好好。4面得唔該？好，都差唔多啦嚇，大家快手啦嚇。好，唔該晒。
Thank you. The Financial Secretary will first speak before answering questions. Financial Secretary, please. Thank you, Belinda. Friends from the media, members of the public, good afternoon. Today, the Hong Kong government released the report on Hong Kong's business environment, titled A Place with Unique Advantages and Unlimited Opportunities. The title has pointed out the core message. We have a favorable business environment and a bright future. We have vitality and plenty of opportunities. In the past 2 years, black-clad violence and the U.S. strategy of suppressing China has brought negative impact on our economy. It has also interfered with our business environment. The central authorities swiftly promulgated the national security law. On top of that, there is the improvement of our electoral system. Order has been restored since to Hong Kong. However, I noticed that there are still misunderstanding and bias of our economic environment. Some people might have been deceived by misleading information of the U.S. A few weeks ago, the U.S. has released a report. We think that we should set the record straight. We should present objective data to respond to these misleading information. We also need to set out in a systematic way the advantages of Hong Kong and to list out the future business opportunities of Hong Kong. Thirdly, we will actively promote Hong Kong. Overseas investors may not fully understand our advantage. We need to make it easy to understand and grasp the information, the correct information. We have been very careful in our risk management. At the same time, we explore new impetus to drive our economy. With the staunch support of our country, we see the effectiveness of one country, two systems being played out. Our inherent advantages have also been maximized. We need to make use of our existing advantages and leverage on the opportunities that are posed to us. We need to thank the government, the central authorities, for their support of our past and present success. We continue to play to our advantage. We don't shy away from competition. We'll continue to improve ourselves. We have been facing a lot of smearing and pressure from geopolitics in the external environment. However, we are not afraid. We have to tell our story well. With the support of our country and the advantage of the one country, two systems, as long as we work hard, Hong Kong will surely have a better future, a more prosperous future. Please raise your hand. Once you've been identified, you may ask your questions. The report in white. I'm from Now TV. I'd like to ask, If a report is compiled by the government and the conclusion of a place with unique advantages and unlimited opportunities is reached, don't you think that it is a lack of credibility, and people will think that, of course, that will be the conclusion drawn? You choose this time to release the report. Is it because overseas ratings on Hong Kong actually has a negative impact on Hong Kong? That's why you want to make use of this report to fight back. In this report, there is a lot of emphasis that we need to leverage on the support of the country. Does it mean that Hong Kong's inherent advantages will gradually be watered down, and that our functions and roles will disappear? I have cited a large amount of data to show that our financial market has been operating in an orderly manner. There has been a capital inflow, outflow, and our linked exchange rate system has been operating properly. And with we're talking about $500 billion from IPO after the implementation of the national security law. Comparing 2019 and 2020, well, when it comes to our asset management, it has increased enormously. And a third of them is capital flowing in from outside Hong Kong. We're talking about 35 trillion. We have made reference of rating agencies like Fraser Institute. We have adopted a lot of objective data and figures to make our argument. We want to paint a correct picture to our readers. In relation to judicial review or our legal system, we have also cited information on rankings of Hong Kong in this regard from Overseas Research Institute. So we are very confident about the credibility of our report. Your second question is about the timing. Since the second half of 2019, when we experienced black-clad violence, and last year there was national security law implementation. At the same time, we have faced sanctions, unilateral sanctions from the U.S., unilateral cancellation of a differential treatment, and certain import restrictions. Just 2 months ago, there was a warning issued. Such are misleading information and remarks that smear Hong Kong. We would like to make use of objective data to rebuke these untrue information. We noticed that there has been some misunderstanding on the part of overseas press over the past 2 years. As a result, overseas investors and enterprises might not have the full picture of our business environment, of our advantages, and our future. We think that we need to make use of this time to set the record straight and tell our story well. In March, the central authorities announced the 14th five-year plan. Prior to that, there was the Tianhai-Shenzhen-Hong Kong Cooperation Zone. In addition, there was the self-trading of Bond Connect, as well as the implementation of Wealth Management Connect. With the launch of these initiatives, we think that it is an opportune moment to show that we have got the staunch support of the central authorities in different segments. It is a very good time for us to tell you all these important things. We said in this report on a number of occasions that our past success, current development, and future opportunities are intertwined with the development of our country. There are signs. Before the opening up and reform of our country, Hong Kong was engaged in light manufacturing industry. After that, our manufacturing industries moved northward, and Hong Kong started to change to high value added industries as well as financial services industries. You can see that our success is heavily related to the development of our country. In terms of our securities market, the capitalization is 10 to 20 times of our GDP, and 70% of the capitalization is from mainland enterprises. And 70% of our daily turnover is related to mainland enterprises as well. This shows that mainland financial market development and the development of their enterprises have given us plenty of opportunities. When we seize these opportunities given to us by our mainland, we should not forget that our success is based on one country, two systems. Under the one country, we practice the capitalist system here. This gives us an advantage because we're different from the mainland. In terms of free port, we are also different from the mainland. When it comes to intellectual property rights protection, as well as our art and culture sector, we are different from the mainland. We leverage on these differences and turn them into our strength, and use our strength to seize the opportunities given to us by our country.
South China Morning Post.
Yes.
Is this report your election manifesto for the upcoming CE election next year? And are you using this report to drum up support from investors and Hong Kong people about your governance? Can you tell us your aspiration for the chief executive election next year?
Well, this is totally unrelated to the CE election next March. As Financial Secretary, I'm duty bound to tell the Hong Kong story from a business standpoint. As I explained earlier, over the past 2 years, we have been subject to unfair criticisms. And over the past 2 years, in the foreign media, there have been misunderstanding and misreporting about the situation in Hong Kong. So we find that this is a suitable opportunity to do a number of things. Firstly, to set the record straight. I mean, in respect of those misleading information, incorrect observations, or even sometimes deliberate malicious attack on Hong Kong. I'm duty bound to set out the facts so as to enable business sector and the international community to better understand the situation here. The number 2 point is, taking this opportunity, we want to set out the core competitive advantages of Hong Kong and the future prospect of Hong Kong. As you know, the success of Hong Kong is very much tied to the development on the mainland. It has been so in the past. Currently, yes, our development also depends on mainland's economic development. And going into the future, that will lend us additional economic engine to drive our economy forward. Say, for example, under the 14th five-year plan, we have been given On the one hand, given the 4 traditional centers that we have been excelling on, but on the other hand, give us additional roles, for example, in the innovation and technology sector. Under the Greater Bay Area development, Hong Kong is given also unique role to play in leading the financial services sector, in leading the innovation and technology sector, in leading the cultural exchange between the mainland and the rest of the world. So for many foreign business, they may not be fully aware of this situation and advantages. So we think this is a very good opportunity to set out all this in a logical and coherent manner, so that foreign business will better understand the business environment here, the business opportunities here. And finally, the purpose of this report is to proactively promote Hong Kong, to tell the Hong Kong story, to clarify misunderstandings, and to reinforce the confidence of the international community in us. Yeah, thank you.
Next question. Lady in white. I'm from Commercial Radio. In the report, it says that Hong Kong has its own inherent strengths, which are intact, and we also have a wealth of talents. But how do you look at the wave of immigration affecting Hong Kong? How would you consider its impact on future development of Hong Kong and economic development? And also, Hong Kong's exports to U.S. cannot be labeled as made in Hong Kong anymore, and the government has delivered its submission to the World Trade Organization. What is the latest progress? The U.S. ban on Hong Kong's exports to U.S. under the label of made in Hong Kong. The Business Economic Development Bureau has, in liaison with the World Trade Organization, in accordance with the due procedures, they're carrying out the work required, and under the World Trade Organization mechanism, they are still tackling the matter. Progress is still underway, and the Business and Economic Development Bureau staff have actually been following up on the progress. Also, as she said, as for our talent pool, Hong Kong does have an edge in attracting talents from different parts of the world. You all know that on the one hand, we are a very free society. People can come in and leave Hong Kong as they like, and it's also a place where east meets west. Our taxation rate is low, so it provides quite many opportunities for people to advance their career. In terms of startups, we've got more than 3,000 startups. About a third to a quarter, are established by people from outside Hong Kong. Besides those coming from the mainland, there are also startup founders from Israel, UK, US, and other places. So we are a place where east meets west, and we also are a metropolitan city. The living environment here, as you know, like at weekends, you may go to country parks, it's all very convenient. So it's very attractive, and there are lots of cultural programs on offer. So we think that Hong Kong is attractive. In certain areas, like in terms of innovation and technology, we do need more talents. In the past few years, we have tried to nurture more talents. We provided subsidy to startup companies so they can hire our graduates from master's programs, PhD graduates to stay here to do research, and also to provide them with job opportunities so as to attract more research and development organizations and tech companies to come here, and so graduates can work here. Because we do have the wealth of talent here, it's more easy for us to attract companies to set up base here as well. And you talk about the issue of Hong Kong people emigrating abroad. Of course, it's a matter of concern to us. Hong Kong is our home. In our home, we can't say that, well, any home is perfect. But within the family, the most important is that family members care for each other. and also express support for one another. Hong Kong has experienced a difficult period, and the instability, the chaos in the past are now gone. Looking ahead, our economic prospects are bright. As for different people's decisions, but I think there are lots of opportunities for those who remain here, and I hope that people would value and cherish this opportunity.
Last two questions. The gentleman in blue. I'm from RTHK. Good afternoon. There is a lot of coverage in the report talking about a U.S. strategy of suppressing China. How do you see the international situation? What other U.S. policies will bring damage to Hong Kong's economy? Is it just on a political level, or do you think it will deal real damage to the economy? Next week is the delivery of the policy address. You choose this moment to review this report, and the design is similar to the policy address. Have you talked to the chief executive? Did you reach a consensus that before the release of the policy address, there is a need to publish this report to dispel some misunderstandings? The chief executive, of course, is fully alive of this report, and she knows about this report. And I ask you not to compare this report with the policy address. This report conducts analysis on Hong Kong's business environment and our economy. It sets out objective information of the situation, and it also aims to rebuke misinformation. Apart from the economy, there are many different aspects of Hong Kong, so you can't compare this report with the policy address. You mentioned about the international situation. It's complicated and evolves very rapidly. The situation we're in has not been experienced in a century. The situation is ever changing. Because of the interaction of the major economies, we think that the current fickle situation will continue to stay with us. It is not surprising to see highs and lows and ups and downs. We should not be over-optimistic. We need to properly manage risk. If the outlook turns out to be good, then our economy will improve with certainty. Should there be risks and changes, like the changes in the financial market we have seen, as long as we manage our risk properly and formulate contingency plans, I'm confident that even during turbulent times, we will be able to come out intact. With relevant regulators, say the Monetary Authority, the Securities and Futures Commission, the Hong Kong Exchange, as well as the Insurance Authority, we closely monitor the market situation and other factors, say, for example, derivatives in the market. We will endeavor to ensure the smooth operation of our financial markets. If there are major changes in the financial market, it will not just affect the different markets. It will also affect people's livelihood as well, so we have to be very cautious. In relation to this report, just like your blogs and things you write and said, it seems that you're trying to show your allegiance, to pledge your allegiance to the mainland. Is that the case? You talk about a number of opportunities and advantages. It's something that the business sector and everyone has heard of many times. Can you give us some specifics about what these advantages and opportunities are? Well, the informations given in this report are all well known to you. But we want to present the information in a systematic way and in a comprehensive way. We have collated the information you have received in drips and drabs in a systematic way. We have a Chinese and an English version, and these will be uploaded onto our website. We want Hong Kong people to know what's going on. We live here. We know full well what's going on. Hong Kong is an external economy. We attract investors from all over the world to come to invest. Overseas think tanks, investors, enterprises should get a correct understanding of the Hong Kong situation. That is something we want to achieve through this report. That's why we set out the information, our advantages and our opportunities in the report. Well, in relation to your first question, I think is irrelevant to your question. This report has nothing to do with what you said in your question. Hong Kong has experienced some turbulent times. I'd like to use this report to clarify the situation and to do it in a systematic way. We have the Wealth Management Connect, we have Stock Connect, we have Bond Connect. And there is also the A-list stocks in futures and contracts in Hong Kong markets. These are initiatives we will continue to do. I have in my blog set out the supporting measures in startups and the creative and IT industry from the mainland. We will continue to do our work to boost our vitality. Thank you.